part two of part three of Thank You for Your Service. So again, I felt kinship to this person because we were both around the same age. We were both, exiting the military in a couple of months or maybe at the end of the year. And I felt the kinship to this person. So I felt as if this person was my friend. So he actually, um, if he could use my credit card so that he could rent a car, because I don't even remember what it was he was doing at the time, but for the weekend pass, he wanted to rent a car and he wanted to use my credit card. So he gave me the full amount of the rental. At the time, it was $300, so that was the cost, for the rental. Me being foolish, I let him hold my credit card, which now that I'm older, of course, I say it's not anything that you necessarily need. It's not, if you don't have it, then you don't need it. But at the time, I wanted to help him. He was my friend and he had a need, so. But again, I do think it was, and people hate to say this because I was a woman. And again, not that I was interested in him in that way, but I felt like he was my friend. So that, to me, that kind of has something to do with it. So I, I let him hold my credit card, and lo and behold, and usually I go to see my husband, when we have a pass, or either he comes to see me. But for whatever reason, this on this weekend, I didn't go see my husband. I stayed on the base. So, and it may, well, that's another story I don't want to bring up right now. So, but anyway, I stayed on the base, and lo and behold, I think it's like either Saturday evening or Sunday evening where your mindset is ready. All right, we got to go back. This little vacation is over. This little, weekend pass is over. And I had a good time, being on the base. And the base commander comes knocking on my door and was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he was like, "Oh, okay, good. Well, I have something to tell you. This Marine got in an accident and he's in the hospital, but don't worry. I told him that you're a good Marine and that you didn't know anything about this and that, you know, you don't have to worry about anything about jail or hospital or anything. Your name is clear because I know, you know, from your experience that you're a good Marine and you didn't have anything to do with this. But they found your credit card. So can you explain to me, did he take your credit card? I was like, no. I I was like, no, I let him hold my credit card. He didn't take it from me. And he was like, well, why did you do that? And I was like, well, he was my friend. And he was like, well, what do you think your husband will think about that? And I was like, oh boy, don't do that to me, because I don't know how my husband would feel. I think he probably would be upset, of course. But I didn't think about that at the time, that I let him hold my card. So, subsequently, that person got in trouble. They were in, not, they didn't go to jail, luckily for them. They were, you get like a punishment and you have to stay on the base and you can't do nothing but go to work and come back. So he got lucky in that, but I'm not sure what happened with the rest of that, but I also was lucky because like I stated, my commander was like, we know you're not, which I wasn't. I didn't know, what he was doing. I just knew that he wanted to use my credit card so that he could rent a car. The moral of this story is that, and of course, everybody is saying, duh, But the dynamics of, the Marines, you trust people for real. You really do. And again, I'm bringing that up because I am from Brooklyn. I trust no one. But in that situation, you know, after being in the military for so many years, you get a feel for people and you feel like you can trust them. And again, he may not have meant to, of course, he did not mean to get in an accident, but something like that that has my name is tied to me, you have to be very careful. And I say this again for women, you have to protect yourself. And this is just a segue to other stories that I have. But yeah, you have to protect yourself. So it wasn't anything that he needed so desperately. And he could live without it. Either he would go on a trip or not, or find another way. Um, Giving him my credit card, having it tied back to me, was not a good decision. And I learned from that. I learned moving forward from there that, a lot of people, friends, not, again, in the military, it's a different, to me, a hyper situation. But a lot of people in your life will be like, oh, this is do or die, or I can't live without this thing and I need you to help me. You really, the way that I put things into a basket is one, did they have it yesterday? Do they really need it? Is it a necessity? No. Credit card, a trip to wherever is not a necessity. If it were not for me, would they have this thing? No. So what I learned from there moving forward, when people come to me with, oh, I need this or that, you don't need it. It's something that you want. Now, is that not saying that I never helped anyone. If I help someone, I just give it to them freely. I don't expect it back. But something as far as giving them my credit card, no, you don't need it. So I learned my lesson, in that case that um, you have to be very careful. And I know you want to be friends and you want to share and help people, but not knowing his story or what he was doing is not very smart. So please share if you have any experience, in the military as a woman in the nation's service, or anyone who had an experience that you feel you learned from. It definitely, even at that late stage, was something that I learned. So like, comment, and subscribe, and share your comment or your experience. Thank you.